Okay guys, so welcome today for our meeting. I'm going to start off with some introductions before we get into the case. So if everybody just wants to say their name and their role for the case. So I'm Alex and I'm the CEO.
I'm Jacob and I'm the VP of Marketing.
Mohammed and I'm VP of Finance.
I'm Antika, I'm the VP of HR.
Julie, VP of CTO.
I am Palak, I'm VP Operations.
Okay, cool. So now we're just going to follow the agenda for the day. So we're going to get into the case overview. So I'll just go over that real quick and then we'll get into some strategic growth options and some key questions. So first, just the background of the case. Just Kitchen is a Canadian-owned and Taiwan-based ghost kitchen operator founded by Jason Chen and entrepreneur Kai Huang in 2020 to leverage the popularity of online food delivery. The purpose of it is to meet growing demand for delivery-only food services through an efficient cloud kitchen concept, combining multiple restaurant brands under one roof essentially. And then I'll break down the business model shortly. So they operate with a hub and spoke structure. Basically means the hub kitchen is the central kitchen and they handle bulk food preparations and blast chilling. And then they send it to the spoke kitchens, which are smaller kitchens that receive the pre-prepared meals and finalize cooking and reheating for rapid local delivery. Essentially, they want to meet their efficiency goals, which are they have low setup costs for the spoke kitchens and high order capacity for each location. They've partnered with delivery through Food Panda, Uber Eats, and then they have their own app. And they've also partnered with QuickClick, which is the largest messaging system in Taiwan. And essentially, they're trying to decide on the most optimal growth direction. So that leads me to number 3 on our agenda. That'll be we're going to look at some strategic growth options and the key questions. So I have 3 questions to examine to start. The first one would be, should Just Kitchen scale operations by increasing the number of kitchens using the hub and spoke model, or should they focus on expanding other channels? So first we're going to start with scaling with the hub and spoke model, and we'll go over some pros and cons. If you guys have any pointers for that, then be happy to chime in.
Yep, so as VP of Marketing, I strongly suggest that Just Kitchen should consciously expand by increasing the number of kitchens utilizing the hub and spokes model. I would say that a moderate increase in kitchens would be able to test the market demand in specific areas, and also by moderately placing the kitchens in high demand locations, this would give us a chance to observe consumer behavior and also being able to control cost. And lastly, in terms of marketing, we can set up social media marketing campaigns to advertise Just Kitchen within the delivery areas, and also partner with local influencers or popular influencers to be able to reach our target market.
Those are great points. Yeah, if anybody else wants to.
I think with scaling kitchens, it requires like a lot of resources. So it's like high capital cost. And like you have to get staff and like you have to train them, and then you gotta get equipment, like land, like you gotta lease the area and stuff.
Yeah.
So while it can help get like new customers and like service locations where like other cities in Taiwan or even like globally, it's very resource. I'm not sure what the word is, but it takes a lot of toll on resources. So I was leaning more towards like them expanding other channels using their existing infrastructure.
Okay, cool.
Like for me, for the pros is because of Just Kitchen is like a new business, and I would say that like they expanded like the business very fast, like from 14 to 28 kitchens in 1 year, and that's very fast, and they could approach to like a lot of customers. But the con is like they didn't plan properly, so it made them like couldn't make like profits. Actually, they made like net loss more than like profits, and I'm not really sure that like they are ready like to go for like international, like to make like open a branch over there, because they also have a risk that like they have to consider is like about like political, legal, environment. On not only that, because I have experience to work in a restaurant before, and for example, Indian cuisine that they decided like to open over here, they are not authentic because they have to adapt the taste like to Canadian or the people that locate over here.
For sure.
So they have to plan and think more about that too.
Okay, great. Yeah, those are great points. The next question is actually, I'm going to go back to the first one, but the next question is actually, should they focus on growing locally or expanding internationally? So that definitely works for that.
I think for the scaling operations, I think it would improve like the delivery time because like whether you have like more kitchens, like locally more kitchens nearer to the customers, that will just improve the time that they take to deliver food to the customers. But it might become challenging in the sense of like can be resource extensive in this case because they will have to invest in more like equipment, technology, and they will have to recruit more skilled staff. And being like the VP of HR, that will be they will have to do more training, and they have a JK University, so that will help in this case. But they will still have to train them and just mentor them in some sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that can really be resource extensive.
For sure.
But it has its cons as well. Its pros as well.
Yeah, I get that. Alec, do you have any insight to this question?
Yeah, I have an opinion of like scaling operations is whether we should increase the number of kitchens within our current hub and spoke model. So like this could improve delivery times and customer satisfaction. And however, we need to weigh the upfront cost against potential revenue. So we can explore partnership with third-party kitchen service, or we could allow us to expand more efficiently and reduce financial risk. So that's
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a good response. Yeah, for me personally, I had obviously for pros, it's a very scalable business because they already kind of have the benchmark for the business set up, so that would make it easy to scale by their standards. But as for cons, obviously, as we said, it's high setup costs, and they don't have much room for variety in terms of their expansion. They can't really branch out into different markets. They kind of just stick in the market. They can maximize the market in Taiwan, but they can't expand past the target market. So that's what I say. Yeah, and then we'll talk about if anybody has any points for pros and cons of expanding to other channels, like direct ordering and just grocery, for example.
I think since they already have an existing customer base which orders food from them, you could expand into like other channels such as grocery delivery. Because as we've seen after COVID, a lot of people don't even go grocery shopping; they just go online and like order stuff straight to your home.
For sure.
And since they already have an infrastructure for delivery in place in Taiwan, they can implement a grocery service where like customers that order food just order groceries as well.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, cause like in Asia, like there's a big like convenience store like culture. People go to like a lot of 7-Elevens and like C's and stuff like that. And since they have like kitchens in like different locations that service like customers locally in those areas, they can have like a service where it's not just like groceries from like big grocery stores, rather like you can just order different items you want and then like a driver picks it all up and delivers it to you. So you can be ordering stuff from 2 or 3 different stores.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good point.
Like from my opinion, it's kind of like similar to his ideas. Is like to launch frozen food instead because for like just kitchen they already prepare like the food, right? But like if you like make like a frozen food, it's gonna open like more options for like customer if they would not like to like do like delivery, or maybe like we can do just like 7-Eleven convenience store and they just like grab and do it at home.
Yeah.
And another one, I just think of like if they would not like to do like open a restaurant, maybe they can open just like at a food court or some kind of that not really like pay attention for like the services.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, hey, because they already have like tables like at like a food court or something like that, and we do not have to pay attention for that. Just like sell the food and serve it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that will diversify the revenue streams as well. So in case one of the services does not really work out, they can always fall back on the other ones like groceries and all.
I would say is another like option. It's kind of little far-fetched, but I thought subscription-based like meal plans, like like HelloFresh would do.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be like an option for them as well, because they'll be able to like do it on a fixed fee and also be able to monitor costs as well. Like you said, if other options don't work out, they can always fall back on that strategy as well.
Yeah, that's smart for sure. Okay. Alec, do you have any insight for that last point?
opinion, like a channel expansion by launching a direct to customer app is like an exciting opportunity for Just Kitchen. For example, like reducing our reliance on third party delivery apps and the fees and improving our margins. So, more importantly, it allows us to engage directly with customer and enhancing their experience and foster loyalty.
Okay. So you're saying we should essentially scale up the platform that we already have. We have the app, but we just need to put more resources into it.
I had like a crazy idea when I was thinking, cause like, I read in the case that they were listed on two stock markets, one in Toronto and one somewhere in Europe. I'm not
Yeah,
too
I
sure.
saw that too. I saw that too.
So I did some research and they're listed as like a restaurant company,
Okay.
but other companies such as like Uber are listed as software companies. So
True.
I think they could only like when they got listed, they only raised $21 million.
Mhm.
But that's because they were like a restaurant company. But if they expand into other channels and like they make an app and they make like a whole digital platform, because they are you mentioned that they're like partnered with like the biggest messaging app in Taiwan and stuff. If they make that all in house,
Yeah.
I think they can list themselves as a technology company on the global stock exchanges like Toronto Stock Exchange and stuff, and that
Mhm.
can help them like gather or like raise a lot of revenue, a lot of cash for like further growth operations.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we should definitely invest into that. Going off that, then we can kind of touch on should Just Kitchen should they focus on growing locally mainly, or should they focus on expanding internationally? Yeah, so we'll start with if they were to prioritize local growth in Taiwan, we'll go over some pros and cons of that. Yeah, if you guys want to touch on that, and then we'll move on to international after.
One of the cons for local growth would be that Uber started doing something similar to them in like the local market, and another app like Food Panda started doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And those are much larger companies with a lot more resources,
Mm-hmm.
so it could just quickly capture all the market in other areas.
Yeah.
But if Just Kitchen was to expand globally into like countries where Uber isn't really available, which is like a lot of countries,
Yeah.
and they do market research, so they kind of go off the whole software company model I was like talking about.
Yeah.
If they can gather like data from other countries, and then using that data they open kitchens in other countries, I think it could be more successful than just expanding locally within Taiwan because the competition is so high.
Yeah, for sure. I agree that the market may be getting a little saturated in Taiwan because they're a leading brand, but there's lots of competing brands there. So
I wasn't sure if everyone's gonna focus on like prioritizing like local equity, but I wanted to look at international side
okay, cool.
because I feel as though exposing Just Kitchen to new markets would help build like international relationships. Also, even though it can be a risk going into the international market, I feel as though Just Kitchen just has to do a very extensive market analysis of each country that the business would be profitable in, and also just doing research on like regulation laws around like food and safety and delivery and labor laws, and just being able to adapt to like the locals like preferences, like you said, Julie. So I feel as though if we decide to go internationally, that we should develop a marketing strategy for each place that we want to establish ourselves in, so that the audience can cling to our marketing strategy, so we create like brand awareness. I suggest like creating partnerships with like that country's local like delivery apps if they do have them, utilizing social media platforms and just creating ads to target that audience within those specific regions, and also just using promotions and memberships, anything that will just increase brand loyalty on the whole as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like for me, in my opinion, about like local right now, they have like so many kitchens, and I would say that like in some kitchens they cannot make profit at all. So I'm just thinking that like what about like if we move some kitchens that they cannot make profits and move them like to other department, like what I mentioned earlier, to make like a frozen food. Frozen food is not gonna be just only like for the local food. but it can expand like to international too.
Yeah.
So I think like that is gonna be a good idea like to move them to do like a frozen food department instead, and we can do like a pilot program because in like they have like two countries in Jason Chiang Mai is Singapore and Hong Kong. But Hong Kong, I just feel like it's good idea because they do. I believe like they are not gonna have like a political issue like later. But the problem is like the food taste and like the style like how they eat it's literally different because how the way that like Taiwan food is very mild. But for the Hong Kong is like very spicy and like savory food. So and for like the Singapore, they're literally international because they have like so many like Asian that decided like to go to travel and live over there, and like it's not a big country at all. It's just only like 30 minutes and then you can travel like for the whole island. So I think like if you just like wanna do a pilot program and plan like to open like one branch over there, I think that is a good idea.
For sure. Because that's not too much investment, but you can still test them out.
I just imagine like getting sales in there internationally because I feel like if we would just go straight in and just start establishing like companies all over the place,
Yes.
that's why we could have a net loss, like you said, we can lose money. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
I like the pilot program idea for sure.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I think one more thing that we can do is like from an HR perspective, just can instead of just trying to get people in that new place, get like staff and chefs and all of that, we could just give the current like chef opportunities to relocate in that country. So just so that we don't really have to invest that much in training. So again, we just have to do it like step by step, not just like go into that new country just like all at once, but step by step.
Yeah.
And as soon as we've just made sure that we have a good team of staff here in this country, we can just like select few of them who might just accept the opportunity to relocate.
Yeah.
And then just so that we don't really have to invest that much in, because it will be challenging to find people in that new country who know about the taste, about like we have to comply with the standards as well, recruiting standards and all of that, so it can be challenging. So instead of just investing in that, we can just kind of offer that opportunities to relocate.
Okay, great. Yeah. Alec, do you have any insight on that question?
Yeah, I have two points like local growth could solidify our presence and enhance operational efficiencies. For example, if I would like to say the country like Taiwan, strengthening their brand might increase customer loyalty, and on the other hand, international expansion could open new revenue streams by tapping into emerging markets, and customer preference in both scenarios will be crucial for our decision making. So, yeah, that's it.
Okay. So concluding that question, would you guys all agree that in some form we should expand internationally?
Absolutely.
I would say so, definitely.
Yeah.
Because Taiwan is a small country
Mhm.
with like it's very densely populated, but it's a small country and there's like a lot of companies already doing the same thing.
For
So
sure.
we have to look for new markets.
Yeah, I agree. Do you guys agree with the sort of pilot program step by step sort of idea into the safe idea into expanding?
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
great idea, especially in like Singapore because it's very diverse.
Yeah.
But you could get like a lot of different types of like food options.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think we should do it in a safe manner in terms of pilot program, and we should also obviously research our market before we go into it, and the cuisine and the food safety and health regulations, like you said. Yeah. So after that, what countries, like in general, not specific countries, but in general, do you guys think we should look to expand to?
I think the countries have to be like diverse with like foreign populations as well. Because if you go into a very homogenous country such as Japan,
Yeah.
or Japan is very homogenous, so they like to do things the way they've been doing it. Like, you know, if you introduce like foreign food there, it's not going to be very popular.
Yeah.
They like to be Japanese cuisine only.
For sure.
But if you go to a country such as Hong Kong, as you mentioned, and like Singapore, there's like people from a lot of different countries,
Yeah.
and you do get food from a lot of different countries as well. So it's a lot easier to enter in certain countries. Or if you expand to like the Middle East and places like the UAE and Qatar, where there's like a lot of expats as well.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely. Yeah. What do you guys think about them possibly expanding to Canada since he is from Canada? Do you think they should consider that?
I thought about that. I think that would be an excellent idea, knowing
Yeah.
how like Canada is basically a melting pot. You know what I mean? Like Just Kitchen would for sure have a strong audience
Definitely.
due to the diverse cuisines that is in Canada.
Mhm.
So I feel like it's not a bad idea at all. It's definitely something that the CEO should consider doing.
Yeah, I think personally I think with his background knowledge on the country as well as how much diversity we have a ton of diversity. Also everybody here, not everybody, but in general, food delivery services are very popular, so I think that's good potential.
I agree with that, but I do have a concern about the regulations and labor
Yeah.
fee. So because like I would say that like in PI, the labor like keep increasing like every year or maybe like twice a year.
Mhm.
But like we can potentially like go to other countries too. No, I mean like other provinces because like they have the other provinces they pay like lower labor and everything is like so much less cheaper than over here.
Mhm.
I really didn't think about PEI, but definitely
Yeah.
different provinces for sure. It would be a success then.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of like on the opposite side of the whole conversation. I think the competition here is way too high. Like brands like Canada and the US have like so many different food delivery apps. You got Grubhub, Skip the Dishes, Uber Eats, DoorDash. But I think the market is way too saturated to like expand into something else. If we were to come to countries such as Canada and the US,
Yeah.
it'd have to be like with partnerships.
Yeah.
You already partner with other restaurants and then so it won't just be like a proprietary thing, it's more I was thinking it's gonna be more of like a commission based thing where you can partner with restaurants and you make their food in your kitchen and you get a commission off each sale.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's definitely a good idea.
I think that the idea is so much better than like doing franchising because if you do like franchising, it's gonna be out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I actually agree with that for sure. Alec, do you have any insight on that particular point?
In my opinion, like we should invest in smart kitchen technology to optimize efficiency and reduce waste. Like implementing energy efficient appliances can lower operational cost and support our sustainability goals and strengthening our supply chain sources from our local suppliers and will that minimize our transportation emissions also.
Okay, great. Alright, okay, so now I'll head into the third question, which is how can Just Kitchen ensure that growth would be profitable and sustainable? We've already sort of touched on this in terms of how they'll pilot their sort of safe entering into different countries, but if you guys have any points on that, then
I would say ongoing market research. So just basically always staying on top of market trends, looking into like engagement strategies as well. I thought to myself like, I know this might be a little outlandish, but like raffles in a way. So say if you purchase through the app like three meals every, I don't know, one meal each week through 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And you end up getting like a raffle ticket and say like that raffle is for getting a new car or a vacation or something like that. I feel like that would be a way to do, you know, like a little bit of engagement strategies. I would also say depending on, you know, which region that Just Kitchen establishes themselves in, creating different menus ever so often, just being able to adapt to that region as much as possible. And also just paying attention to what the competition is doing and being able to stand out from them as well. So, ongoing market research.
Yeah, I like that. I think that going into different countries with some sort of raffle or giveaway, like you said initially, is a good idea to track business.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think doing like a tiered launch as well, like sort of just going off of what she said of like, you know, piloting doing a pilot program.
Yeah.
But a tiered launch in the sense that you dip your toes instead of diving in head first.
Yes.
So if you were to launch in a different country and you want to make it profitable, you can partner with another brand on like a contract basis. So not like a permanent thing, but like a 2 or 3 year contract where you can gather data about the country. You can kind of learn about what the locals eat or what kind of food they like,
Definitely.
and then you take it from there. So you could, like as I mentioned earlier, you could open a kitchen with like different restaurants' food, and then you can get like a commission off of that. And that way you get like sales data as well, right? Because you're providing the meal.
Yeah.
Or you could partner with an already existing food delivery service, right? And just focus more on the kitchens.
Yeah.
And after you have enough data to actually know what you want to do, you can go into the market.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with we shouldn't go in head first, and we should do some sort of tiered opening. We shouldn't put all of our resources into one basket. So.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking like we're supposed to do like customer retention program to maintain the customer and like have like activity for them, like at least like, hey, if you collect like 10 times and like you come to use like our food, you're gonna get like one drink, one free food, or like have just something like for them like to do, like or maybe like a ticket like for, I don't know, just like make activity for them.
Yeah.
Maybe it's gonna be like a good marketing for them too.
Yeah, for sure.
One idea that I had is I think Tim Hortons kind of did that, but it's just because we are going into a new country, we are going to introduce like kind of like a new menu to those people. We can just give like some limited time offer menus, just so that we can get they can get a taste of the menu as well, and then we can also know if that menu is going to work out. If it does, then we can just make some changes, and we probably have to put in place some feedbacks metrics just to know what customers are thinking about that new menu, and yeah, just give them an opportunity to try out, and then just give us an opportunity as well to see if that thing is working out. If it is, then we can just give it in that case.
Yeah, I think that is like pilot program, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Like looking to give, like you said, looking to give away stuff initially to see what people think, kind of getting the feedback on it. It's a way to not dive in at first and see where the customer base is at, so we can change our approach.
And that can be like a bit far-fetched, but I mean, when I order food, I like to say exactly what I'm getting. So in most cases, when you see a picture, it's not really the same thing that you're getting.
Yeah.
So I would like just suggest maybe we can integrate in the app some maybe virtual reality stuff, like just so that they can actually see what they're getting. Kind of, I don't know how will that work honestly, but they can just integrate that just so that the customer feel okay. That is what I'm getting. It's not just a picture. Sometimes the burger just looks bigger than what you're getting. So just like so that they can see actually what you're really getting.
Yeah. Do you think a picture of the actual meal after it's made would be a good way to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. So after those key questions, we can we'll look at a bit of analysis. So obviously, I went over there's Porter's 5 Forces, Pastel, Activity-Based View, Brio, and SWAT. So we can just kind of look at where the brand's at prior to expansion. If you guys had any insights on any of those, then we can start on.
Pastel, there's like high barriers of entry, because no, for Porter's 5 Forces, I mean, there's high barriers of entry because like you need a lot of capital to open like kitchens and then employ staff and train them and then figure out like your logistics.
Yeah.
So I was thinking it's like hard to enter into such a market without like a lot of capital.
Yeah.
And then obviously you're not gonna start profiting right away, right? So you need some like burn through capital as well, where you can like
For sure.
afford to take losses for a certain amount of time.
Definitely. Yeah. Initial investment for sure is definitely deterrent. Just that.
So I chose to do like the 5 forces, bargaining power of suppliers, and just the activity-based view analysis.
Cool.
So for the 5 forces, I was looking more into the suppliers because, you know, for Just Kitchen, it's a ghost kitchen food production. So they basically rely highly on the quality of their food. So I was saying diversifying food suppliers and not being codependent on one would be ideal for Just Kitchen, and also making sure that we create supplier relationships with long-term contracts would be good as well, and looking into investing in local suppliers would be able to help like reduce cost in terms of food and all that stuff as well. And in terms of the market being oversaturated, I would say building good relationships with local suppliers and even like exclusive suppliers would be great for the business because the competition won't be able to, access those suppliers as much. I mean, some businesses are like that in a way where you
Yeah.
have suppliers that the competition can't access. So I would say bargaining power suppliers is really something that Just Kitchen should focus on.
Yeah. Do you, sorry not to interrupt you,
No,
but
that's fine.
do you think, if we do go into other countries that initially getting, using supply power to get, supplies initially before we launch is a good idea?
That's a tricky part. I would say in order to like establish some type of credibility with suppliers, I thought about partnering with local restaurants first, maybe,
Yeah.
and then being able to try and build a relationship with a supplier because when you launch a new restaurant into a new region without, like proper background research and food and all that stuff, it's gonna be hard to establish like a solid relationship with the supplier.
Mhm.
So I feel like partnering with like a local restaurant doing some kind of marketing
Yeah.
would help with, building relationships with potential suppliers as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Get our foot in the door essentially.
For me, like for your case, I literally understand because I know like a Thai food truck over here, and she literally have like suffering for like ordering supplying because her business like is really small and she doesn't like open like for the whole seasons, and so that's mean like she literally got suffering for that. So I think it's a good idea like to be a partnership with a local restaurant. Maybe like we can ask them like or make a contract with them. Hey, if you're gonna order food, can you order this for me too as well? And we're gonna pay this for you too, like in part of the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like collaborating on the board, and just
Yeah.
be able to help Just Kitchen to be exposed to a different target audience as well. And I would say the last thing I have to say in terms of activity-based view, just focusing a lot on digital marketing. So, Just Kitchen relies heavily on digital marketing, and I would say utilizing social media partnerships with the local popular influencers and restaurants, creating promotions through delivery apps, and just building more of the brand would be a good idea. I would say being in the know with digital marketing is always a competitive advantage.
Mhm.
And it will help reach different demographics and have direct customer engagement. So I would say perfecting our marketing, building the brand, looking at different regions would help us to bring brand awareness and brand loyalty for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
Just kind of going off of what you said about collaborating with other restaurants, I think it can kind of help with a couple of the stealth factors. Like you can learn what the food regulations are because they're different in different regions.
For sure.
And then like economically as well, like food prices vary like all around the world. And if you're charging $15 for something in Canada, you can charge $15 for that on like other places.
Yeah.
Like especially in like they were operating in Taiwan, but like certain nearby Asian countries you can get a meal for like $5.
Yeah.
Right? So and since like if we launch into other countries it'll be like an international brand.
Yeah.
So currency fluctuations also play like a major role.
Yeah.
So there should be like some sort of leveraging with the banks as well, which like help protect your revenue.
True. Anybody else have anything to say for this one?
I do know about like they have a threat of new entrants because I know like they opened it for like a couple years already and since like 2019, right?
Yeah.
I would say that like it's still new and I believe that like because they do not have like in front restaurant, they do just delivery, so I believe that like in some customer they do not know like Just Kitchen properly because some people that just want like what is the reason and like you go to the restaurant, dine, enjoy the service and environment, but for the Just Kitchen they don't have that. So I think like they might require to do like marketing more, like to like make other people know. And like what I mentioned earlier that like what about like if open like in the food court, it's not like literally like high service restaurant, but they're gonna have like front store restaurant and it's gonna make like the customer know about it.
Yeah.
So I think you should also target. I'm kind of backtracking here, but just
Mhm.
thinking about it, I think you should target like countries where there's where people prefer convenience and have their work more you have more working professionals.
Sure.
Because like certain countries are very laid back and people like to actually go sit into restaurants and enjoy having their food.
Mm-hmm.
But in countries where there's like a lot of work pressure, like
Yeah.
Singapore, I'd say, like
Mhm.
people are always on the go, so they don't really have time to, especially like the demographic 20 to 45, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like they just want to get their food, like pick it up quickly and then just eat it or order it in.
I agree with that. I think like in terms of that, like Western or Central Europe would be like a really bad idea for the business.
Yeah.
But if they went into North America, for example,
Mhm.
fast paced, or obviously into East Asia, that would be.
I think it can be like USA, South Texas, because I have been there before and they literally have like a lot of fast food.
Yeah.
So maybe like it might be a good option for them to open
Yeah.
over there.
Would you guys, with those being said, would you guys agree that they should have some sort of partnership with businesses already established in those countries before they go into the country? Like we were kind of talking about.
Yeah, or they could target you know how influencers have a lot of food products,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like how Travis Scott had a burger or
Yeah.
stuff like that. If they can find an influencer or someone who has a large following
Mm-hmm.
and they want to do a product, they can work with those influencers and launch something from scratch instead of partnering with a pre-existing restaurant. You can come up with a new product with somebody who has a large customer base already.
Yeah, that's a great point. In the licensed brand section of the case, actually, they've used two separate influencers, which is on our topic, but they used Mr. Beast and DJ Khaled, but that was just in Taiwan. So if they go to different countries and get influencers from those countries,
Yeah.
partnership, as well as restaurants, I think that's an optimal play for sure.
I think they have to be kind of pay attention to the health consciousness of people there because it's a different country, so they will have different kind of health habits and all of that. So nowadays it's like a growing trend now is healthier options like vegan and all of that. So they will have to probably change their menu as well, their nutrients and all of that, just to tailor it to that particular customer segment in some case. And since that the industry is very much dependent on customer preferences and customer taste, and it just keeps changing. So our taste as well just keeps changing. So they will have to just keep up, just be up to date with their taste.
For sure. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we'll move on from the analysis and we'll look a little bit at risk assessment, which we've already done a lot, but if you guys have any potential risks you want to add expanding internationally, then we can get into that.
You can go first.
Okay, so in terms of marketing, I would say what if potential customers don't really respond well to the marketing campaigns and they don't respond positively as we thought they would,
Yeah.
and also just competitors in general in the market being oversaturated in places where there's a high demand for ghost kitchens.
Yeah.
So I would say you have to prioritize a market research before entering the different regions. Probably even investing in hiring consultants for those regions to see if we can get information on what do they want to buy, what do they want to eat, their interests, so we can be able to adapt to the audience as much as possible.
Yeah.
And just in terms of international markets, the food safety, labor laws, all those can be risks. It can be a conflict in a way with them establishing themselves.
Definitely.
I think they will have to just like labor laws, they will have to comply with the regulations set for that country. It's different for each country, so they will have to comply with regulations. And just because they will be working in a kitchen, they will be exposed to a lot of hazards.
So we gotta take an intermission. I gotta get I gotta get like that. Sorry, maybe 30 seconds, hopefully. So start your next meeting in 8 minutes.
Oh yeah, zone based.
you guys think? Maybe we should pause it and then go back? Or you probably can't pause, but. Okay, so picking up where we left off. After risk assessment, we're gonna go into a couple alternative growth strategies, and then after that, we'll make a decision from there. So, if you guys wanna touch on some potential strategy.
So potential strategy is basically maybe catering options.
Yeah.
So like different businesses and schools, schools that don't really have like the best cafeteria options, maybe they could look into catering to those, and just businesses in general, probably like maybe some corporate companies that do have, like food options, lunch options for their employees, look into those catering options. That would be an alternative growth strategy for them, and they can also give the schools and businesses fixed fees to where they can also monitor the cost that's coming in as well.
For sure. Yeah, I think the more creative ideas we have going into an international setting, the better to attain initial business.
One idea that I had to HR perspective is to partner with culinary schools and hospitality programs in those countries, just to create some internships and apprentice programs, just so that we can make sure that we are recruiting workers who already know about the health standards, about the policies and all of that, so that we don't really have to invest in that much training for them. And then we can just start through the onboarding process. So just kind of give them some mentorship from experienced chefs that we already have. But just to partner with those institutions would be a good idea here, because they will already know about the whole standards and policies. So we don't really have to invest that much in that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Partnering with culinary students.
My risk assessment is about like the currency and inflation situation, because I just found out that like in Hong Kong and Singapore, they also have like inflation to like the increase, or like for this year, like 2024, they do have around like 2 to 3%. So if we would like to launch or make a branch like in these countries, we might have to think about like the price to cover like about the inflation situations. Like for example, like over here in Canada and in USA, they already priced how different it's gonna be. So that's why like Canada, they already covered the like they already covered the price, and they already like, hey, they are not gonna lose the money if the inflation happens.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you guys have anything else for that, then you guys can go ahead. But then after that, we're gonna go to this.
I kind of had the catering idea as well for like workplaces and schools and
Yeah.
like stuff like that. You could like have specific contracts with like other like firms, but like if you have a large office building somewhere, you could just have a specific contract to like feed all those employees, or like do something similar with schools. But I do know like a lot of schools have like different companies that do the catering.
Yeah.
So having something like a work in a office building or something, because that's like very convenient. You go anytime like somebody needs food, you just go like downstairs or upstairs and just like whatever.
For sure. And that also that applies to your point from before, going into areas where there's a lot of people in that demographic of busy workers that need something efficiently and quick. So I think that's good. Okay, now we can go into the final decision. So basically our growth strategy. So are we all in agreement? We're all in agreement that our primary growth strategy is to expand internationally, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. After that, I think we've kind of gathered we want to use as sort of a safe, step-by-step, like tiered approach, going into new countries, kind of researching them before we go in, and partnering with franchises and influencers.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that? You guys agree with that, or if you guys have anything to say about it?
I agree with that as well. It's just in terms of the influencers, you just have to be very specific on the influencers, because a lot of people partner with influencers, and a lot of companies partner with influencers, and they don't really receive that much like positive feedback.
Yeah.
Because an influencer can influence, a product or, a company, but that doesn't necessarily maybe because that they decided to promote that people are gonna buy from them, you know. So we just have to be very specific on which influences we decide to use for which regions we want.
Would you be worried about the possible negative effects of the influencer potentially saying that they weren't happy with the service?
Not too bad, you know what I'm saying? Like the influencer has probably controversy, you know, like problematic stuff like that. Just have to be very specific with who we want to have representing the brand, you know what I mean?
I think we kind of have to be careful with like the restaurant partnerships as well.
Yeah.
Because if we take too many on board and they have like different sorts of menus, then it can like impact the quality of the food. So you can't go from like making like a burger to sushi,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely. Yeah. No, for sure. And so I think personally for that, I think for different what's the word, subcategories of cuisine, we need to go to different restaurants. We can't go to one for multiple different specialties. So.
Like from my opinion, franchising and collabing with like other restaurants is a good idea, but Jason made me concerned about like expanding for the branch because like he expanded like branches like too fast
Yeah.
and it made like lose the money, so he's just supposed to like do it like step by step, or maybe like do the branches like just 1 to 2 like 1 year to by year, not just really like make it like 14 branches in 1 year, and that's very like incredible.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys think we should, in each country that we expand to, should we try to get a few restaurants in different subcategories to start from there, as opposed to just find like a mass amount, or to find one? Try to find like 2 to 5 restaurants from each country that we're going to.
Yeah, I think 2 to 5. Because then you can have like, not like, because we don't want too many employees in the kitchen, right? We want like some walking space.
Yeah.
So you could have like 2 to 4 restaurants, and then you can specialize your kitchens. For example, you can have like a pizza oven on one side of the restaurant, and then like a fryer station on the other.
Yeah.
And then you could have like 3 or 4 employees just each specialized, each trained in like their own like little area.
For sure.
And we'll just avoid losing control as well over the menu. So we just want to maintain our position as well as a brand. So that will just prevent us from losing control as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think quality over quantity in terms of our partnerships and our experience from other countries. We shouldn't want to scale too quickly in countries that we aren't fully aware of yet before we start. So, yeah. Do you have any insight on the decision with that?
No, I don't have any points.
Okay, sounds good. After that, would you guys say that we should have a tiered opening? In terms of start small, as we talked about, and then sort of scale from there once we see some success?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Because that way you can mitigate your losses as well.
Yeah.
Like if you just open one kitchen, right, and it doesn't work out, like you can kind of take the hit. But if you just go in with 10 kitchens all at once, and then it doesn't work out, it's like a big loss.
Yeah. Definitely. Then after that, I would say that's our primary growth strategy as a whole. And then in terms of some alternative things we could do in those countries, we talked about we could use raffles, we could use catering with corporate businesses and schools. And we could also partner with universities to establish internships with people in that country to have a staff.
And I think like that idea is kind of like promoting our restaurant to like our kitchen, because with the students, the teacher, they're gonna know about this kitchen.
That's right. It's a great promotion strategy. I agree. Yeah, so would you guys have anything else to say about the decision? But yeah, I think we kind of decided on something. So as a whole, I'll just break it down again. So we're going to expand internationally using a step-by-step tiered approach. We're going to have partnerships in each country with 2 to 5 franchises of different subcategories of cuisines, and we're going to have a tiered opening. And we'll also use some alternative growth strategies like raffles, catering, with corporate and schools, and also partnering with universities to establish internships. You guys agree?
That's perfect.
Sounds good.